Have you ever noticed that the nicest person in the room is often the one carrying everyone else's burdens? While manipulators climb the ladder and takers get ahead, genuinely kind people seem to finish last. It's not fair, but it's happening everywhere, from workplaces to friendships to families. I used to think kindness was a superpower, and in many ways, it is. But I've learned something painful over the years. In a world full of takers, being a giver can feel like a curse. You show up for people, you help when they're down, you go the extra mile, and somehow you end up exhausted, resentful, and wondering why you're the only one who seems to care. Today, we're diving deep into this pattern. We're going to explore why kindness has become a vulnerability, the psychology behind exploitation, the warning signs you might be missing, and most importantly, how to protect your beautiful, generous heart without losing who you are. This is going to be a long, in-depth conversation because this topic deserves more than surface-level advice. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's talk about something that affects millions of good people every single day. Let's start by acknowledging something that might make you uncomfortable. Kindness, one of humanity's most beautiful traits, has become a liability in modern society. And before you think I'm being cynical, let me explain what I mean. Kind people operate from a place of empathy and generosity. They assume others share their values. They give without keeping score. They help because it feels right, not because they expect something in return. This is genuinely admirable. The world needs more people like this. But here's the problem. Not everyone plays by the same rules. Psychology calls this the reciprocity imbalance. Kind people expect that their generosity will be met with gratitude and mutual respect. It's not that they're keeping a ledger, but there's an unconscious assumption that relationships should have some balance. But exploiters, they see kindness as weakness. They see your open hand as an invitation to take more. Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. For thousands of years, humans survived through cooperation. We helped each other. We shared resources. We built communities based on mutual support. Kindness was adaptive because it created strong social bonds. But evolution also created people who could exploit those bonds. The free riders, the manipulators, the ones who take without giving back. In modern society, this dynamic has intensified. We live in a culture that often celebrates self-interest, that tells us to look out for number one, that treats relationships as transactions. In this environment, genuinely kind people stand out, and unfortunately, they become targets. Researchers at Stanford studied workplace dynamics and found that agreeable, kind individuals were 18% more likely to be assigned extra work without compensation. They were also less likely to be promoted, despite being more well-liked. The kicker, their kindness was seen as a given, not a choice worthy of reward. It was expected, not appreciated. Another study from the University of Amsterdam found that people who scored high on agreeableness and empathy were significantly more likely to report feeling taken advantage of in their relationships. They gave more, expected less, and ended up depleted. But here's what really gets me. When kind people finally set boundaries or say no, they're often labeled as changed or not themselves, or even selfish. The same people who had no problem taking advantage of their kindness suddenly act shocked and hurt when the well runs dry. This is gaslighting on a societal level. the truth is, kindness without boundaries isn't kindness. It's self-sacrifice. And self-sacrifice isn't sustainable. It leads to burnout, resentment, and a slow erosion of the very empathy that made you kind in the first place. So, who are these exploiters? Let's break down the profiles in detail, because recognizing these patterns is the first step to protecting yourself. These are people who drain your energy with constant crises. Every conversation is about their drama, their problems, their needs. You offer support once, and suddenly, you're their unpaid therapist, available 24/7 for their emotional emergencies. What makes emotional vampires particularly insidious is that their need seems genuine. They're not necessarily lying about their problems, but they're stuck in a victim mentality where nothing is ever their fault, and they never take action to improve their situation. They just want someone to absorb their pain. You'll notice a pattern. They come to you when they're in crisis. You give advice or support. They feel better temporarily, but then the same problem happens again, and again, and again. When you suggest solutions, they have a reason why nothing will work. When you set boundaries, they accuse you of abandoning them in their time of need. And here's the real tell. When you need support, they're nowhere to be found. They're suddenly too busy, too stressed, too overwhelmed with their own problems. The reciprocity you've been unconsciously hoping for never materializes. The opportunists. These people are charming and friendly, but only when they need something. They're masters of strategic friendliness. They remember your birthday when they need a favor. They text you after months of silence when they need a ride, a loan, or free advice based on your professional expertise. Opportunists are often harder to spot than emotional vampires because the exploitation is less frequent. They don't demand constant attention. Instead, they pop up periodically, always with a request disguised as catching up. Hey, how have you been? I've been thinking about you. By the way, I was wondering if you could help me with something. Once they get what they want, radio silence until the next time they need something. And if you call them out on this pattern, they act genuinely confused or offended. I'm just going through a lot right now. Or I can't believe you're keeping score in our friendship. The insidious thing about opportunists is that they make you doubt your own perception. Am I being unfair? Am I being a bad friend? Maybe they really are just busy. But deep down, you can feel the one-sidedness of the relationship. The guilt trippers. Masters of manipulation, guilt trippers twist your kindness into obligation. They weaponize your empathy, making you feel responsible for their happiness, their success, their emotional state. Their favorite phrases include, "After everything I've done for you, I thought you were a good friend. You're the only one who can help me. I guess I'll just have to figure it out myself." Or my personal least favorite, "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed." I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Guilt trippers keep a mental ledger of everything they've ever done for you, and they'll bring it up whenever you set a boundary. The thing is, their help was often unsolicited or came with strings attached that you didn't know about at the time. They're also skilled at making you feel like you're being unreasonable. If you say no, you're selfish. If you prioritize yourself, you're abandoning them. If you point out the imbalance, you're ungrateful. They've created a dynamic where your only acceptable option is to continue giving. What's particularly damaging about guilt trippers is that they often target your deepest insecurities. If you struggle with people-pleasing, They'll make you feel like you're letting everyone down. If you value loyalty, they'll question your character. They know exactly which buttons to push because you, being kind and open, probably told them about your vulnerabilities. The passive aggressors. These are the sneaky ones. They don't directly ask for things. Instead, they hint, they sigh, they make comments that hang in the air. They make you feel like you're letting them down if you don't offer help, even though they never explicitly asked. For example, they might say something like, "I guess I'll just stay home this weekend, since I don't have a car, waiting for you to offer yours." Or, "This project is going to take forever. I'll probably be up all night, hoping you'll volunteer to help." Or, "Must be nice to have free time," making you feel guilty for having boundaries. If you don't take the bait, they get quietly resentful. They might give you the silent treatment or make subtle digs about how you're not as helpful as you used to be. And if you set a boundary, you're the bad guy. You're the one who's being mean, even though they never directly asked for anything. Passive aggressors are exhausting because you're constantly trying to decode what they actually want. You're walking on eggshells, anticipating their needs, trying to prevent their displeasure. And that's exactly what they want. They've trained you to manage their emotions without them having to take responsibility for asking directly. The narcissists. We need to talk about this category separately because narcissistic exploitation is particularly damaging. Narcissists don't just use your kindness, they see it as proof of their superiority. In a narcissist's worldview, there are givers and takers, and they're entitled to take. Your kindness isn't appreciated, it's expected. They genuinely believe they deserve special treatment, and your willingness to give it confirms their belief that they're special. Narcissists are drawn to kind people like moths to a flame. Why? Because kind people offer what narcissists need most: validation, attention, and someone who will absorb the emotional labor of the relationship. The pattern typically goes like this. Love bombing. They're incredibly charming and attentive at first. Devaluation. Once you're hooked, your kindness is taken for granted and criticized. And discard. When you no longer serve their needs or you set boundaries, they move on to. What makes narcissistic exploitation so damaging is the psychological manipulation involved. Gaslighting, projection, triangulation, love bombing followed by withdrawal. They don't just take your time and energy, they make you question your reality. Now let's dig deep into why this pattern exists from a psychological perspective. Understanding the why is crucial because it helps you see that being exploited isn't a character flaw. It's a learned pattern, and what's learned can be unlearned. The childhood origins. Most kind people who struggle with exploitation have a similar backstory. They grew up in environments where their worth was tied to what they could do for others. Maybe you were the peacemaker in your family. When your parents fought, you learned to smooth things over. You became hypervigilant to everyone's emotional state, trying to prevent conflict before it started. Your value came from keeping everyone happy. Maybe you had a parent who was emotionally needy or unstable. You learned early that your job was to manage their emotions, to be the good child who didn't cause problems. Your needs took a backseat to their crisis of the day. Maybe love in your family was conditional. You were praised when you helped, when you achieved, when you made your parents look good. But when you had needs of your own, you were told you were being selfish or demanding. You learned that love had to be earned through service, or maybe you experienced neglect. You learned that the only way to get attention was to be useful, to anticipate what others needed, to make yourself indispensable. These childhood experiences create what psychologists call core beliefs, deep-seated convictions about yourself and the world that operate mostly unconsciously. For many kind people who get exploited, these core beliefs include: my worth comes from what I do for others. If I say no, people will abandon me. Other people's needs are more important than mine. Conflict is dangerous and must be avoided at all costs. I'm responsible for other people's feelings. These beliefs aren't true, but they feel true, and they drive behavior. When someone asks for help, you don't consciously think, I need to say yes or they'll leave me. But that fear operates in the background, pushing you to say yes, even when you want to say no. The people-pleasing syndrome. Let's talk about people-pleasing because this is the engine that drives exploitation. People-pleasing isn't about being nice. It's about needing to be needed. It's about deriving your sense of value from external validation. It's about managing anxiety by controlling how others perceive you. People pleasers live in a constant state of low-level anxiety. They're always scanning the environment for signs of disapproval. They're always calculating what they need to do or say to keep others happy. It's exhausting, but it's also familiar. It feels safer than being authentic and risking rejection. The irony is that people-pleasing doesn't actually make people like you more. In fact, it often has the opposite effect. When you're always agreeable, always available, never expressing your true opinions or needs, people don't really know you. You become a convenient resource, not a fully realized person. And here's the thing that people pleasers often don't realize. Not everyone wants or needs you to please them. Healthy people want authentic relationships with boundaries. They want to know the real you, including your limitations. When you people please, you're not actually giving them what they need. But exploiters, they love people pleasers. Because people pleasers have trained themselves to ignore their own discomfort, to override their gut instincts, to say yes when every fiber of their being wants to say no. This makes them incredibly easy to manipulate. The sunk cost fallacy. There's another psychological principle at play here. The sunk cost fallacy. This is the tendency to continue investing in something because you've already invested so much, even when continuing is not in your best interest. In relationships, this looks like, I've already put 3 years into this friendship. I can't walk away now. Or I've helped them so many times. If I stop now, all that help was wasted. Or maybe if I just give a little more, they'll finally appreciate me. The sunk cost fallacy keeps kind people trapped in exploitative relationships long past the point when they should have left. They're hoping that their investment will eventually pay off, that the person will change, that the reciprocity they've been waiting for will finally materialize. But here's the truth. Past investment is not a reason to continue investing. If a relationship is unhealthy, draining, or one-sided, the fact that you've already given a lot is actually a reason to stop, not a reason to continue. You're trying to recover a loss that's never going to be recovered. Think of it like this. If you accidentally got on the wrong bus and realized it after an hour, would you stay on the bus for another hour because you'd already invested so much time? Of course not. You'd get off and find the right bus. Relationships are the same way. Conflict aversion and confrontation phobia. Many kind people have a deep-seated fear of conflict. This isn't just a preference for harmony. It's an actual phobia-level response to confrontation. When faced with the possibility of conflict, their nervous system goes into fight or flight mode. Their heart races, their palms sweat, They feel sick to their stomach. Setting a boundary or saying no feels physically dangerous, even when logically they know it's not. This makes sense when you understand the origins. If you grew up in an environment where conflict was scary, maybe there was yelling, violence, or emotional withdrawal, your nervous system learned to associate conflict with danger. As an adult, even minor disagreements can trigger that same fear response. Exploiters, consciously or unconsciously, leverage this fear. They know that if they push back hard enough, if they get upset or angry, the kind person will back down. They've learned that the kind person's need to avoid conflict is stronger than their need to protect themselves. This is why boundary setting feels so hard for kind people. It's not just about saying no. It's about tolerating the discomfort of someone else's disappointment or anger without trying to fix it. It's about allowing conflict to exist without immediately trying to resolve it. The identity crisis. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. For many kind people, their helpfulness has become their identity. They're the friend who's always there, the reliable one, the person who gets things done, the shoulder to cry on. This identity feels good in some ways. It gives you a clear role, a sense of purpose, a reason for people to value you. But it's also a trap, because if your identity is built around being helpful, what happens when you set boundaries? Who are you if you're not constantly giving? This identity crisis keeps many kind people stuck in exploitative dynamics. They've confused kindness with servitude, compassion with self-sacrifice, generosity with martyrdom. The idea of changing these patterns feels like losing themselves. But here's what I want you to understand. Your kindness is a quality you have, not who you are. You are a complex, multifaceted person with many qualities, interests, talents, and needs. Your helpfulness is one aspect of you, not your entire identity. When you set boundaries, you're not becoming a different person. You are becoming a more complete person. You are honoring all aspects of yourself, not just the parts that serve others. Let's talk about what this pattern actually costs you, because it's so much more than just time and energy. The cost of being exploited is profound and far-reaching. The emotional toll. Constantly giving without receiving creates a deep well of resentment. At first, you might not even recognize it as resentment. It shows up as irritability, as a shorter fuse with people you care about, as a general sense of heaviness or exhaustion that you can't quite explain. You start feeling bitter. You look around and see other people living their lives, seemingly not weighed down by everyone else's problems, and you wonder why you're always the one helping while others seem to get away with being selfish. This bitterness is corrosive. It changes you. It makes you cynical. You start questioning people's motives. Are they being genuine, or do they want something? It becomes harder to trust, harder to be vulnerable, harder to connect authentically. And the worst part, you feel guilty about feeling resentful. You think, I should want to help. What's wrong with me? I'm becoming a terrible person. So you suppress the resentment, push it down, try to force yourself to be more giving. But suppressed resentment doesn't disappear. It festers. It shows up as passive-aggressive comments, as emotional withdrawal, as burnout. There's also a profound loneliness that comes with being exploited. You're surrounded by people, you're constantly helping and supporting, but you don't feel truly seen or known because the people exploiting you don't actually care about you as a person. They care about what you can do for them. You might have hundreds of people you've helped, But when you need support, where are they? The realization that your relationships are one-sided is crushing. It makes you question everything. Did anyone ever really care about me? Or was I always just useful? The physical health impact. Chronic stress from being exploited takes a real toll on your body. When you're constantly in a state of vigilance, always anticipating others' needs, always managing their emotions, your nervous system is in overdrive. This chronic activation of your stress response leads to elevated cortisol levels, which is linked to a host of health problems: weakened immune system, digestive issues, sleep problems, headaches, chronic pain, high blood pressure, increased risk of heart disease. Many kind people who are being exploited develop what's called compassion fatigue or empathy burnout. This is common in healthcare workers and therapists, but it can happen to anyone who is constantly emotionally available to others without adequate self-care. Symptoms include physical and emotional exhaustion, reduced ability to feel empathy, increased cynicism, difficulty concentrating, and a sense of hopelessness. Your body is literally telling you that you've given too much. There's also the practical health impact. When you're constantly busy helping others, when do you exercise? When do you prepare healthy meals? When do you go to your own doctor appointments? Many kind people neglect their physical health because they're too busy taking care of everyone else. The professional and financial cost. Every hour you spend solving someone else's drama is an hour you're not investing in yourself, your career, your goals, your financial security. In the workplace, kind people often get stuck doing everyone else's work. They stay late to help coworkers meet deadlines. They take on extra projects without compensation. They mentor and support without recognition. And while everyone appreciates them, appreciation doesn't translate to promotions or raises. Meanwhile, less kind people are focusing on their own advancement. They're networking, they're showcasing their achievements, they're negotiating for what they want, and they get ahead, while the kind person who helped them along the way stays stuck. Outside of work, being exploited costs you financially too. How many times have you lent money that was never repaid? How many times have you covered expenses for someone else? How many opportunities have you missed because you were too busy helping someone who never reciprocated? There's also the opportunity cost. What could you have achieved if you'd spent all that time and energy on your own goals? What skills could you have developed? What relationships could you have built with people who actually valued you? The impact on genuine relationships. Here's something painful. Being exploited doesn't just affect your relationships with exploiters. It affects your relationships with everyone, including people who genuinely care about you. When you're depleted from giving so much to people who take advantage of you, you have nothing left for the people who actually deserve your time and energy. Your partner, your children, your real friends. They get whatever scraps are left after you've exhausted yourself helping people who don't appreciate you. This creates a tragic irony. The people who exploit you get your best effort, while the people who love you get your worst. Because when you're with people who genuinely care about you, you finally let your guard down. You stop performing, and all that suppressed exhaustion and resentment comes out. Your real relationships suffer. Your partner feels neglected. Your friends feel like they can't count on you because you're always busy helping someone else. Your children learn that they come second to strangers' needs. And the people who love you might try to tell you that you're being taken advantage of. But because you're so invested in the pattern, you might get defensive. You might accuse them of being unsupportive or not understanding. This creates distance in the relationships that actually matter. The loss of self-trust. Perhaps the most devastating cost of being exploited is the erosion of self-trust. Every time you ignore your gut instinct that says this person is using me, every time you override your discomfort to say yes when you want to say no, every time you suppress your needs to prioritize someone else's wants, you're sending a message to yourself. This loss of self-trust is insidious because it affects every area of your life. If you can't trust yourself to protect yourself in relationships, how can you trust yourself to make good decisions about your career, your finances, your future? You start second-guessing everything. You become paralyzed by indecision because you don't trust your own judgment. You look outside yourself for answers, for validation, for permission to do what you know is right. This makes you even more vulnerable to manipulation. Rebuilding self-trust after years of ignoring your instincts is hard work. It requires learning to listen to yourself again, to honor your discomfort, to believe that you have the right to protect yourself, even when others are disappointed. The identity erosion. When you've spent years being the helper, when your entire identity is built around being there for others, exploitation doesn't just take your time and energy. It takes pieces of who you are. You lose touch with your own preferences, your own interests, your own desires. When someone asks, "What do you want?" you genuinely don't know, because you've spent so long prioritizing everyone else that you've forgotten how to check in with yourself. You lose your voice. You become so accustomed to adapting to what others need from you that you forget how to express what you need. Your opinions become softer, more qualified, less certain. You lose your joy. The things that used to light you up feel dim. You go through the motions, but the spark is gone because you're running on empty, and there's nothing left for the things that actually matter to you. This is perhaps the cruelest cost of all. Exploitation doesn't just take from you, it takes you from yourself. Now let's talk about the specific warning signs that you're being exploited. Sometimes the pattern is obvious, but often it's subtle. Here are the red flags to watch for. The relationship feels one-sided. This is the most obvious sign, but it's worth stating clearly. If you're always the one initiating contact, always the one offering help, always the one making sacrifices, the relationship is one-sided. Pay attention to what happens when you stop reaching out. Do they notice? Do they check in? Or does the relationship just fade away? If a friendship only exists when you're the one maintaining it, it's not a friendship. It's a service you're providing. Also notice the balance of conversation. In genuine relationships, there's a natural give and take. You share, they share. You listen, they listen. But in exploitative relationships, the conversation is always about them. When you try to share something about your life, do they listen? Or do they quickly redirect back to themselves? They only appear when they need something. You hear from them when they need a favor, advice, emotional support, or resources. But when they don't need anything, silence. No casual check-ins, no thinking of you messages, no interest in your life unless it's relevant to what they need. And here's the pattern. They're warm and friendly when they're asking for help. But once they get what they want, they disappear until the next time they need something. Then suddenly you're their best friend again. If you find yourself thinking, I only hear from this person when they want something, trust that instinct. That's exactly what's happening. Your gut feels uncomfortable. Never underestimate your intuition. Your body knows before your mind catches up. If you feel a sense of dread when you see their name pop up on your phone, if your stomach clenches when they ask, "Can I ask you a favor?" If you feel exhausted just thinking about interacting with them, your gut is telling you something important. Kind people often override these instincts because they don't want to be judgmental or mean. But discomfort is information. It's your nervous system's way of saying something isn't right here. Learn to pay attention to how you feel in and after interactions. Do you feel energized or depleted? Do you feel appreciated or used? Do you feel like yourself or like you're performing a role? They violate your boundaries or don't accept no. When you do manage to set a boundary or say no, how do they respond? Healthy people might be disappointed, but they respect your boundary. Exploiters push back. They might guilt trip you. I thought I could count on you. They might minimize your needs. It'll only take a minute. They might gaslight you. You're being oversensitive. They might make you explain and defend your no, hoping you'll cave under the pressure. Or they might accept your no in the moment, but bring it up repeatedly later. Remember that time you said. They keep a mental ledger of every time you didn't help, using it as ammunition to make you feel obligated next time. Boundary violations are a clear sign of exploitation. Someone who cares about you respects your limits. Someone who's using you sees your boundaries as obstacles to overcome. The relationship is based on crisis. Some exploiters keep you hooked through perpetual crisis. There's always drama, always an emergency, always a reason they need your help right now. And here's the thing, the crises never end. You help them through one problem, and immediately there's another. It's like they're addicted to chaos, and you're their enabler. You might notice that their crises have a pattern. They keep making the same poor decisions, getting into the same situations, needing the same kind of help. They don't learn from experience because they don't have to. You're always there to bail them out. If your relationship with someone is defined by their emergencies, if you can't remember the last time you had a calm, normal conversation with them, that's a red flag. They dismiss or minimize your problems. When you're going through something difficult, how do they respond? Do they show up for you the way you show up for them? Or do they minimize your struggles? Exploiters are often dismissive when you need support. They might say things like, "At least you don't have it as bad as me," or "I wish I had problems like yours," or they quickly turn the conversation back to themselves. "That reminds me of what I'm going through," or they're simply unavailable. Suddenly, they're too busy, too stressed, too overwhelmed to help. But somehow, they always have time to receive help from you. This imbalance in support is one of the clearest signs of exploitation. Genuine relationships involve mutual support. Exploitative relationships involve one person giving and one person taking. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. If you're constantly managing their emotions, trying to predict their reactions, carefully choosing your words to avoid upsetting them, you're in an unhealthy dynamic. You might find yourself thinking, "I can't tell them this. They'll get upset," or "I need to phrase this carefully," or "I'll just do it myself. It's easier than dealing with their reaction." This is emotional management, and it's exhausting. Healthy relationships don't require this level of constant vigilance. You should be able to be authentic, to express your needs, to occasionally disappoint someone without fearing an extreme reaction. If you're walking on eggshells, you're not in a relationship. You're in a hostage situation. They take credit for your efforts or don't acknowledge your help. When you help them, do they acknowledge it? Do they express genuine gratitude? Or do they act like your help is their due, like you're just doing what you're supposed to do? Exploiters often take your help for granted. They might not even say thank you. Or they might give a perfunctory thanks but never reciprocate. Your significant effort is treated as a small thing, while their minor gesture is treated as a huge sacrifice. They might even take credit for things you did. In a work context, this might mean presenting your ideas as their own. In a personal context, it might mean telling others about their success without mentioning your role in helping them achieve it. When your help is invisible or taken for granted, that's exploitation. Your relationships are suffering. Are people who actually care about you expressing concern? Are your close friends or family members saying things like you're always helping this person, or they're taking advantage of you, or you seem exhausted? When the people who love you are concerned, it's worth listening. They have outside perspective that you might lack because you're in the middle of it. Also notice if you're neglecting your genuine relationships to serve exploiters. Are you canceling plans with real friends to help someone who wouldn't do the same for you? Are you missing important events because you're dealing with someone else's manufactured crisis? If your real relationships are suffering so you can serve exploiters, that's a wake-up call. Okay, now we get to the heart of it. How do you stop being exploited without becoming cold, cynical, or closed off? How do you protect your beautiful, generous heart while still being the kind person you are? The answer is boundaries, not walls, boundaries. And I know you've heard this before, but let me explain what boundaries actually are and how to implement them in a way that feels authentic to you. Understanding boundaries versus walls. First, let's clear up a common misconception. Boundaries are not walls. Walls keep everyone out. Boundaries let the right people in while keeping exploiters at bay. A wall says, I don't trust anyone, so I'm protecting myself by not letting anyone close. A boundary says I trust selectively, and I protect myself by being clear about what I will and won't accept. Boundaries are not punitive. You're not setting them to punish someone or to make them feel bad. You are setting them to protect your well-being and create healthy relationships. This distinction is important because it helps you set boundaries from a place of self-care rather than anger or resentment. The foundation, learning to distinguish between helping and enabling. This is crucial. Helping empowers someone to solve their own problems. Enabling allows them to avoid responsibility. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing making this person more capable or more dependent? If your help is creating dependence, if they need you more and more rather than less and less, you're enabling. Helping looks like teaching someone a skill, providing resources so they can solve their own problem, offering emotional support while they handle their own challenge, being there as backup, but letting them lead. Enabling looks like doing for someone what they should be doing for themselves, rescuing them from consequences of their own choices, making it so comfortable for them to not change that they have no motivation to grow, taking on their responsibility so they don't have to. If you're enabling, you're not actually being kind. You're being complicit in their dysfunction. Real kindness sometimes means letting people struggle so they can grow. The power of the pause. Here's a practical technique that can change everything. When someone asks you for something, don't answer it immediately. Train yourself to say, let me check my schedule and get back to you, or I need to think about that, or give me a day to consider it. This gives you time to assess whether you genuinely want to help or if you're just afraid to say no. The pause disrupts the automatic yes pattern. It creates space between the request and your response. In that space, you can check in with yourself. Do I have the bandwidth for this? Is this a healthy dynamic? Am I being asked or being guilt-tripped? Do I want to do this or do I feel obligated? At first, the pause will feel uncomfortable. Exploiters especially will push back. At first, the pause will feel uncomfortable. Exploiters especially will push back. Can't you just tell me now? It's urgent. I thought I could count on you. But hold firm. Your time and energy are valuable, and you have the right to consider requests thoughtfully. Setting clear, specific boundaries. Vague boundaries don't work. I need more respect is vague. I need better balance in our friendship is vague. Exploiters can wiggle around vague boundaries or pretend not to understand them. Specific boundaries are concrete and actionable. Here are examples. Instead of I need you to respect my time, try I'm not available to talk after 9 p.m. unless it's a genuine emergency. Instead of you need to stop relying on me so much, try I can't help you move, but I can recommend a moving company I've used. Instead of our friendship feels one-sided, try I notice that I'm always the one initiating plans. I'd like to see you reach out sometimes too. Specific boundaries are easier to enforce because there's no ambiguity. Either someone respects them or they don't. And that clarity is powerful. Stop explaining and defending your boundaries. This is huge, and it's where most kind people struggle. When you set a boundary, you don't owe anyone a dissertation on why. No, I can't do that is a complete sentence. That doesn't work for me, requires no further explanation. I'm not available doesn't need to be justified. The more you explain, the more ammunition you give someone to argue or guilt-trip you. Every reason you give is a potential objection they can overcome. I can't. I have plans becomes can't you reschedule? I can't. I don't have money becomes I'll pay you back. I promise. Practice saying no without over-explaining. It will feel rude at first because you've been trained to believe that saying no requires justification. But it doesn't. Your no is not up for negotiation. If someone pushes for an explanation, you can use phrases like I've thought about it, and it doesn't work for me, or I don't need to explain my reasoning, or simply I've given you my answer. Notice who disappears when you set boundaries. This is the litmus test. Real friends will respect your boundaries, even if they're disappointed. Exploiters will get angry, push back, guilt-trip you, or disappear entirely. And honestly, let them go. Anyone who only values you for what you can do for them was never truly in your life anyway. They were using you. And when you stopped allowing yourself to be used, they had no reason to stick around. This can be painful. You might lose people you thought were friends. You might discover that relationships you valued were actually one-sided all along. But here's the truth. It's better to know. It's better to have a small circle of genuine relationships than a large network of exploitative ones. The people who disappear when you set boundaries are showing you who they really are. Believe them. Don't chase them. Don't try to convince them that you're still a good person despite having boundaries. Just let them go and make room for people who appreciate all of you, not just what you can do for them. Redirect your kindness toward people who appreciate it. You don't have to stop being kind. You don't have to become hard or cynical or closed off. You just have to be selective about where you direct your kindness. Think of your kindness as a valuable resource, like money or time. You wouldn't give all your money to someone who wastes it, right? You invest it where it will grow, where it's valued, where it creates something positive. Your kindness is the same way. Invest it in relationships where there's reciprocity, where your generosity is matched, where you feel valued, not just needed, where giving feels good rather than draining. Look for people who express genuine gratitude, reciprocate in their own way, respect your boundaries, show up for you when you need support, care about your well-being, not just what you can do for them. Allow you to be imperfect and still value you. These are the people worthy of your beautiful, generous heart. Give freely to them. The exploiters? They've lost the privilege of your kindness. Work on your self-worth, independent of what you do for others. This is the deep work. This is the work that changes everything. Your worth is not based on your usefulness. You are valuable simply because you exist. You don't have to earn love through service. You don't have to be constantly available to be worthy of respect. You don't have to sacrifice yourself to be a good person. Start building your identity around your intrinsic qualities, not just your helpfulness. Who are you beyond what you do for others? What do you enjoy? What are you curious about? What matters to you? Develop interests and hobbies that have nothing to do with helping people. Spend time alone and learn to enjoy your own company. Get to know yourself, your preferences, your opinions, your boundaries. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness you extend to others. When you make a mistake, when you disappoint someone, when you're imperfect, can you be gentle with yourself? This work takes time. You're essentially reprogramming years of conditioning. But as you build a stronger sense of self-worth that's independent of what you do for others, exploitation loses its grip on you. Because when you know your worth, you stop accepting treatment that contradicts it. Learn to tolerate disappointment and anger without fixing it. This is perhaps the hardest skill for kind people, allowing someone to be disappointed or angry without immediately trying to make it better. When you set a boundary and someone gets upset, your instinct is to backtrack, to apologize, to fix their feelings. But here's the truth. Other people's emotions are not your responsibility to manage. If someone is angry that you set a boundary, that's their problem, not yours. If someone is disappointed that you can't help, they can handle that disappointment. You are not responsible for protecting everyone from every uncomfortable emotion. Practice sitting with the discomfort. When someone is upset with you for saying no, notice the urge to fix it. Notice the anxiety, the guilt, the fear. And instead of acting on it, just breathe. Remind yourself that you have the right to protect yourself, even when others are disappointed. Over time, this gets easier. You build tolerance for other people's difficult emotions. You learn that people can be disappointed and still be okay. You learn that someone's anger doesn't have to dictate your behavior. Create a script for common situations. Having prepared responses can help you hold boundaries in the moment, especially when you're caught off guard. Here are some scripts for emotional vampires. I can see you're going through a lot. Have you considered talking to a therapist about this? I care about you, but I'm not equipped to be your primary support system. For guilt trippers, I understand you're disappointed, but my answer stands. I'm not going to discuss this further. For opportunists, I'm not able to help with that, but I appreciate you thinking of me. For passive-aggressive hints, if there's something you need, please ask me directly. I can't read between the lines. For boundary pushback, I've given you my answer. Continuing to ask isn't going to change it. For emergency requests, this sounds important to you. Here are some resources that might help. I'm not available to handle this myself. Having these scripts ready helps you respond from a place of clarity rather than panic or guilt. As we come toward the end of our conversation, I want to leave you with something important. Something that might change how you think about kindness entirely. Setting boundaries doesn't make you unkind. In fact, boundaries are an act of kindness, both to yourself and to others. When you allow yourself to be exploited, you're not actually being kind. You're being complicit in an unhealthy dynamic. You're teaching people that they can take without giving. You're reinforcing their worst behaviors. That's not kindness. That's codependency dressed up as generosity. Real kindness comes from a place of abundance, not depletion. It's given freely, not out of obligation or fear. It feels good, not draining, and it's sustainable. Think of it this way: you can't pour from an empty cup. If you give everything away until you have nothing left, you can't help anyone, including yourself. You burn out, you become resentful, and eventually you shut down completely. That doesn't serve anyone. But if you protect your energy, if you set boundaries, if you only give from overflow, you can be kind indefinitely without burning out. You can help people in ways that actually empower them. You can show up fully because you're not running on empty. There's a beautiful middle ground between being a doormat and being a jerk. It's called being assertively kind. It's saying, I care about you, and I also care about myself. I'll help when I can, but not at my own expense. I'll support you, but I won't enable you. I'll be there for you, but I'll also be there for myself. This version of kindness is actually more valuable than the boundaryless kind because it's honest, it's sustainable, and it requires the other person to step up and reciprocate, which helps them grow. The goal isn't to become selfish, it's to become whole, to honor all parts of yourself, not just the parts that serve others, to be kind without being self-sacrificing, to give without giving yourself away. And here's what happens when you make this shift. The quality of your relationships improves dramatically because you're no longer attracting exploiters who are drawn to your lack of boundaries. You're attracting healthy people who appreciate genuine reciprocity. Your relationships become more authentic because you're showing up as your whole self, not just the agreeable version. Your friendships become deeper because they're based on mutual respect, not on what you can do for each other. And most importantly, you like yourself more because you're no longer betraying yourself by overriding your needs and ignoring your instincts. You're no longer living in resentment and exhaustion. You're living in alignment with your values, and that feels like coming home to yourself. So let's come back to our original question. Why are kind people always exploited? The answer, as we've explored over this past hour, is multifaceted. Kind people are exploited because there are people who exploit kindness, because society often rewards takers and punishes givers, because many kind people grew up learning that their worth was conditional on what they could do for others. But more than that, kind people are exploited because they allow it. Not because they're weak or stupid or deserve it, but because they've been conditioned to believe that their value lies in their usefulness. They've learned that love is earned through service, that conflict is dangerous and that their needs matter less than everyone else's. But here's the truth that I hope you take with you. Your kindness is a gift, not a guarantee. You get to choose who receives it. You get to decide what you give and when you give it. And you get to protect yourself from those who would take advantage. Being kind doesn't mean being available to everyone all the time. It doesn't mean sacrificing yourself on the altar of other people's comfort. It doesn't mean accepting mistreatment with a smile. It doesn't mean setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. You can be kind and have boundaries. You can be compassionate and say no. You can be generous and protect your energy. You can be loving and expect reciprocity. These things are not contradictory. They're essential for sustainable kindness. If you've been feeling drained, resentful, or taken advantage of, I want you to hear this. It's not your kindness that's the problem. It's the lack of boundaries around it. And boundaries can be learned. They can be practiced. They can become second nature. It won't be easy. Setting boundaries after years of people-pleasing feels uncomfortable at first. It might feel selfish. It might trigger guilt and anxiety. People might push back or disappear. You might question whether you're doing the right thing. But I promise you, on the other side of that discomfort is freedom. Freedom to be authentically kind without resentment. Freedom to choose who you invest in. Freedom to honor your own needs alongside others. Freedom to be whole. Start small. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Say no to one thing this week that you'd normally say yes to out of obligation. Notice how it feels. Notice who respects it and who pushes back. Use that information. Pay attention to your body. Notice when you feel drained versus energized. Notice which relationships fill you up and which ones deplete you. Trust those signals. Surround yourself with people who model healthy boundaries. Watch how they say no with kindness. Watch how they prioritize themselves without being selfish. Learn from them and be patient with yourself. You're unlearning years of conditioning. You're building new neural pathways. You're essentially teaching yourself that you matter as much as everyone else. That's profound work. It takes time. Your kindness is precious. It's a light in a world that often feels dark. But that light needs protection. It needs boundaries. It needs you to be selective about where you shine it. Don't waste your beautiful, generous heart on people who see it as a resource to exploit. Save it for those who see it for what it truly is, a gift, not a weakness, a choice, not an obligation, a reflection of your beautiful soul, not a service you provide. The world needs kind people, but it needs them whole, not broken. It needs them strong, not depleted. It needs them boundaried, not boundaryless. So protect your kindness, honor it, cherish it, but most importantly, direct it toward yourself first. Because you, my friend, deserve the same kindness, compassion, and generosity that you so freely give to others. Thank you for spending this hour with me. Thank you for being a kind person in a world that doesn't always appreciate it. And thank you for being willing to do the hard work of protecting that kindness so it can continue to exist in the world. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Share your experiences with boundaries. Share what's worked and what hasn't. Share your struggles and your victories. We're all in this together, learning to be kind without losing ourselves in the process. Take care of yourself. You deserve the same kindness you give to others. If you found value in this deep dive, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss future content on personal growth, healthy relationships, and protecting your mental and emotional well-being. I also have resources linked in the description below, including articles on boundary setting, book recommendations on codependency and people-pleasing, and information about therapy options if you're ready to do deeper work on these patterns. Thank you for being here. See you in the next video.